Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm also today to have Smokey Rameriz from the Trash Talkers. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you, JJ?
I'm doing fine myself, and I'm looking forward to this episode. I'm very optimistic about where this is going, because today we're going to talk about optimism versus pessimism. Which is a very broad question, but I guess I'm going to let you lead with your thoughts before I try to get into any detail.
Well, if you want to know if I'm more optimist or pessimist, I would have to say I fall somewhere in the middle, actually. I think there's a healthy balance that everyone should have, because if you go too far on either side, you become a toxic optimist or a toxic pessimist, and you could actually endanger yourself or the ones around you. And I'm sure we'll get into why later on. But as for me, myself, I find myself being pessimist more than I really want to be. I want to be optimistic all the time, but then there are downfalls to being optimistic at all times. So I try to keep a healthy balance of both.
So, generally speaking, I'm a big fan of being cautiously optimistic, kind of hoping for the best but expecting the worst. Well, that's actually more pessimistic. But, the whole trying to not be blind to the negative things that could happen, but still sort of hoping for it to go well. The toxic optimism and toxic pessimism thing you said reminds me of something that actually partly inspired this topic. I heard someone say that optimism and pessimism both kind of say that everything will be okay or everything will be bad. And in reality, it's not necessarily either of those things, and especially important because we have an influence over where things go, right? So if you always expect everything to go right or everything to go wrong, then you don't really have any agency in what happens. But if you actually take charge and try to make things go better, I mean, obviously, on a large scale, that's not something that an individual can just easily do, but also on a smaller scale, right? You kind of have to accept that you can have an impact on whether or not there is a good or a bad outcome. And so that is also, I think, a relevant factor here. It's the sort of free will element, right? We do have the power to change what happens.
Yeah, that's probably the first question, right? Is people would think when assessing optimism versus pessimism is, do we actually have control over our own lives? And some people believe that we don't. Some people believe that it's all chaos, and no matter what we do, it's going to happen, a way that we don't plan for it. Or, some people have the religious aspect where they believe your life is already laid out for you, and no matter what you do, it's going to happen according to God's plan. I've always found that weird, right? Because if you believe in the story of creationism, Christianity, or actually any of them, Muslim, Islam, but any of them, they believe that God put us here and he knows everything that's going to happen before it happens. Then what is the point of existing? Like, why are we living these lives? What kind of experiment is he doing if everything is already predetermined, right? Like, how does that make any sense? Can you make sense of that?
I mean, I will say that that's probably not a universal belief among monotheists, but it is certainly
a lot of them. Yeah.
It is certainly a very prevalent one, and I personally don't get it either. I don't really have a solution, right? If you believe that the world is predetermined, then I find it hard to convince you otherwise. But for the chaos aspect, I think, yes, there is an element of chaos, and not everything is strictly speaking under our control in that sense, right? Even if you have the best laid plans, you could just get run over by a car, and that's it. But at the end of the day, just because there is a chaos element doesn't necessarily invalidate the choices that you make, because we still have those choices, and those choices will still affect the outcome. Sometimes in unforeseen ways, but usually, predominantly, in the ways that we intended, even if there are some added complications later on.
Man, that made me think. So are you being atheistic? You don't believe in like laws of attraction or the power of positivity or just positive mind state can actually just by thinking it you can influence the future and things that happen. Do you believe in that?
Not in the sense that it is often described. I don't believe that you can just manifest something happening, but I do believe that there
Mm-hmm.
is something to be said about things like having an open mind to like see the opportunities, right? Like if you have a positive attitude, oftentimes you will be maybe more willing to like take a chance on something or like try to move towards that way. Where if you have a very defeatist mentality, then you might not even realize if you are given an option to achieve your goals, right? So there is some just on a psychological level, like a little bit of that. Also, the more optimistic people will probably, generally speaking, be more agreeable to others. And so that can also open up opportunities, but I don't think that like there's some sort of magical law that makes things happen the way you would like expect them to or the way that you are hoping for. But I do still think that mindset can, to a degree, still influence outcomes, of course.
Mm. Yeah, some people believe that just speaking it into existence. I get that that moving in the right direction is going to produce a certain outcome that you want, and you have to be optimistic for that. But some people actually believe that if you just speak something into existence. Oh, I've got a good example for you. There's a thing in the music industry where people would say, don't write songs with tragic outcomes if you don't want to live them out. Because there is this mystic thing that happens that if you write lyrics about your life that isn't true, it is likely to come true. And I've seen that play out several times. And I'm agnostic, so I don't know if it's if it's some mystic quality to life or whatever, but I have seen that happen.
I mean, I do think there's probably an element of confirmation bias, right? Like, you don't really pay attention when it doesn't happen, you do notice when it does happen. There's probably also some degree of, like, the subconscious aspect of it, where if you always present yourself in a certain way, you almost subconsciously strive to be that way, and so you do move closer to the persona, even if that persona doesn't accurately reflect who you are. So I can see some element of that. Again, just on a psychological level, some element of it being slightly true, not to the degree that other people would state it, but I do think there's like a smidge of truth there, maybe. And at the same time, I think you wouldn't notice necessarily when someone is saying something about their life that isn't true and then doesn't happen, right? You notice it only when it does happen. So that does also color your perception of how much that works, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is crazy though when it happens to you. You're like, oh god, I wish I would have never wrote that song. Because you write a good story to entertain people, and you don't plan on it coming true. But sometimes it's a tragic event, or sometimes it's, hey, I'm depressed, I'm down in the dumps, or I'm strung out on drugs or something like that, or whatever. You're just writing a good story, to pull on heartstrings, to elicit the response that you're looking for in your audience. But it's just so weird when it actually happens. And maybe it is subconscious. Maybe you planting that into your psyche actually causes you to take directions in life that cause it to happen just because you wrote that song. Really weird, though.
I mean, especially.
But yeah, no one lost. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially in those examples you listed, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to get hit by a car someday or I'm going to get shot or something you are talking about, right? I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to be strung on drugs. Those are things that, okay, the depression is not under your control. It's very much a mental thing. And the drugs are partially mental and partially under your control. But if it's already a thing that you're coming up with, right, then it's telling me that you're already having that on some degree on your mind. Now, it can be because you've seen someone else experience it, but it could also be on your mind, right? The depression, maybe you're already heading to a depression, and sort of your subconscious is already picking up on that before your conscious, and so you're putting it into your art before you even realize that you're having that problem, and then later it manifests, right? So it doesn't even just necessarily mean that the art can affect your life in some subconscious way, but also your subconscious can affect your art in ways that it will later also affect your life. So I think there's also that element there where those sort of mental things that either are about your mental state or about your desires, for example, can then also maybe come on your art before you even consciously realize that that's like a thing that's going to come up in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's just really weird when it happens, though. Like depression, like things of the psyche. Yeah, that makes sense, but there's a thing also in hip hop, at least, is probably in most, fake it till you make it. Like there's rappers that go out there that have absolutely nothing, so they start writing these songs about having millions of dollars, and it happens to them. But I'm sure for everyone that does that and it actually happens, there's 25 others that don't make it. But you don't tend to see those people. You don't see the ones that didn't make it because they didn't make it. You see the guys that did make it, and they have their millions of dollars when they were rapping about millions of dollars when they had $10 in their pocket. So it makes you want to believe in it that way. But
that's generally a big problem, right? When people are telling you, oh, I got to this successful point by following these steps, that doesn't necessarily mean that those steps work, right? Because you only see the people that made it. You don't hear the stories of the people that failed. That's a very common thing where, like, people that are successful giving advice that really isn't that useful, because oftentimes what they suggest are things that a lot of people are doing, and they just happen to get successful, and maybe there was a huge element of chance, or maybe their tips are good but certainly don't guarantee anything. And it's like, every person that is preaching that has been successful, because the people that weren't successful, if first of all they wouldn't give you those tips, and second of all, you probably have never heard of them in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a good healthy mixture of persistence to go along with your optimism is how you get to that point. Because it's like when we started YouTube, we didn't know what lane we were going to choose, and we just thought we're going to make it, we're going to get that plaque one day. We're just going to do it. We didn't know how. We just told ourselves we were going to do it. We wrote it down that we were going to do it. We're going to have 100,000 subscribers. And we just kept going, and we kept finding new lanes to go down, new subjects to follow, until we found one that hit. So I think a lot of people don't really have the persistence part, that they give up after so long. Well, I guess if you're giving up, that's kind of pessimistic, right?
I suppose, right? I guess in a way, persistence is kind of linked to optimism, right? Because if you don't think you can succeed, then why would you persist, right? And inversely, of course, giving up then being linked to pessimism. So I guess there's a certain element of that.
Oh, I once heard a saying, and I'm trying to remember how it goes. I think it was what's the physicist Kiku? I forgot his first name, but anyway, he says optimism is like a car. No, like a car, optimism is the engine and pessimism is the brakes. The optimism can actually get you moving. If you only have pessimism, you're not going to move anywhere because you're just holding the brakes. The optimism can get you moving, but you have to have the pessimism. You have to have the brakes to stop when you run across danger. I thought that was a pretty good breakdown or analogy or whatever.
I mean, yeah, like any
Metaphor.
analogy is probably not perfect, but it certainly gets the idea across, right? You can't fully rely on one or the other. You're not going to really get anywhere. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to this? Because it feels like we already kind of talked through a lot of this.
Yeah, definitely. No, I don't think I... Oh, there is one more thing that I was thinking of earlier. Does social media breed pessimism?
Maybe in some ways, but I think in other ways, it also is a big source of optimism for some people, right? Because everyone thinks they can become an influencer, right? And realistically, most people won't, right? And so there is definitely an element there of social media as well, where because you only see the success stories, so some people might be pessimistic because they're like, oh, I don't have what they have, but a lot of other people will be like, oh, if they could do it, then I can. So I think in some ways, it probably just reinforces whatever mindset you already have, as social media tends to do with other things as well. But it's certainly, social media influencers are kind of the biggest group of people that I was thinking about in terms of when they tell their success stories and how they got there. It's like, there is a lot of overlap between those stories, but boy, are they not reliable plans of how to get there. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say that I've like tried every single thing that an influencer has recommended to become famous, but I can already just from like a common sense standpoint tell you that most of those things aren't going to reliably work, and it's not like I've never done any of those, and here I am. So,
oh yeah, it's like those get rich schemes. They throw up an infomercial and make you think it's so easy to get there. Like you just follow this simple few rules and you'll be a millionaire within a year.
If you have a way,
99. What's that?
I was gonna say, if you have a way to get rich quick, then you're probably just gonna do that thing. And once you start advertising it, it's probably because it's not working for you anymore.
Exactly. And then you sell the method to actually get rich and tell people this is how you get rich. It's kind of like a loop there. You're just selling the method, but you're not actually getting rich off of the method. But you're getting rich off of selling the method. That's crazy. 99% of people who buy those courses or whatever it is, the websites that they offer, 99% of them don't make anything.
I mean, yeah, I guess the sort of the biggest example of that, and the one that people are most likely to buy in almost feels like, is the multi-level marketing thing, right? Where you make your money by signing up more people, and then the money flows upwards and blah, 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 and it's definitely on a pyramid. And on those, right, because those are still things you have to tax as taxable income, so you actually have the tax statements of everyone that worked on those. Some of them, once I collapsed, there was investigations, right? So there's very reliable data on how well those work, and the answer is, I think it was over 99% of people in most of these don't make any profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like a majority of the people that make a profit still don't make a lot, right? So it's like less than 0.1% probably of like the ones that are like actually like the big time earners and like that became financially independent through it. And those are the people that founded the goddamn thing, and maybe the first couple of people that joined. Yeah. Because
exactly.
If you get in early on one of those, they can be a good money maker. But once it's already a big thing, there's no way to make money with that. Because you're not going to sign up more people, because everyone that would actually be a good seller there probably is already in there anyways. And most people just end up buying product to like keep their status or whatever, and end up putting more money in than they're getting out. And it's just it's stupid.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a big pyramid scheme. Yeah, I think that's about all I can think about for optimism and pessimism.
Which brings us to the facts of the week. What is your fact of the week?
Oh, let me bring that up. Yeah. All right, this is kind of a two-parter. It says there are over 10 holidays that celebrate chocolate alone. 10 holidays celebrating chocolate. The National Confectioners Association, which I did not know existed, recognizes everything from National Milk Chocolate Day to National Bittersweet Chocolate with Almonds Day. National Chocolate Day happens 3 times annually. Jesus Christ. 3 times annually. July 7th, October 28th, and December 28th. And also, to go along with that, did you know that chocolate is a fruit? And
like actual
great
cocoa?
chocolate. Oh,
You said it's a fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And it's saying, in more great chocolate news, the cocoa powder that goes into our favorite dark chocolate bars comes from the beans of fruit of the cocoa tree.
Yeah.
So, you like chocolate?
Yeah, mostly. I don't eat that much chocolate, but occasionally I'll partake.
Me too. I don't think I need. Wait, how many was it?
10 different holidays.
Yeah, I don't need 10 days to celebrate it. No.
I don't actually eat that much like straight up chocolate though. Chocolate is mostly a thing that goes with something, right? Like even most of like the sort of chocolate bar type things, right? You have like your Duplos or whatever. Like those are still like they still have some sort of cookie-ish thing in the middle, right? Cookies with chocolate are great, but I can't remember when the last time was that I like sort of just ate a chocolate bar. Like I don't know. For me, chocolate is a thing that just goes with like something doughy, right? Something cookie-ish.
I get it. I'll eat chocolate bars. I mean, I don't eat much candy bars at all these days, but if I'm going to, I don't mind like just a straight Hershey's milk chocolate or even dark chocolate, because I'm one of the few people apparently that enjoy dark chocolate, but I prefer the caramel inside, the Mars all caramel bars, or even Three Musketeers with that mushy stuff, whatever that is. Like that's pretty good also. But I need caramel with my chocolate, preferably.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. My fact of the week. Do I start? No, you know what? I was gonna introduce like, have you ever heard of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland? But like, no, you've heard of the UK. Sometimes I jokingly start to fact say that, but the thing is, right? The United Kingdom obviously has its own broadcasting company, the British Broadcasting Company, or BBC for short, that is nationally financed, and so Britain, like actually quite a few countries, has its own television licenses. I don't think you guys have those, right? You just like buy it from like a cable provider, but you don't have like a license that you would pay to the government.
No.
Here's the interesting part, right? As of April 1st, 2021, a regular British television license costs £159. However, you can also... for a year, I should specify. However, you could also buy a black and white license for only £53.50. Which is about a third of the cost. So, you know, in case you only have a black and white TV...
Where do you get a black and white TV these days?
I think there are barely any people that still use this, and most of the ones that do just still have their old black and white TVs. But yeah, some people in Britain do actually keep their black and white TVs specifically so they don't have to
big box TVs.
Specifically so they don't have to pay an extra £100 a year in television fees.
That's a horrible way to watch TV.
Fair enough.
But that license is that's a crazy price though, right? Because if we had something like that, I'm sure it'd be like $29.99. You said 153, was it?
£159 per year.
59. That's over $200 in American money. Probably a good bit over 200, right?
Let's see.
What was it, like $1.80 per pound?
59 pounds in USD. For fuck's sake. Search engine doesn't automatically convert because I didn't. It's 195.78.
Oh, okay. So right at 200, a little under.
Right under 200. Which, I mean, if you consider that, I think like a basic cable package costs almost $60 a month.
Yeah, I mean, but how many free channels are you getting? Because we could watch free channels, terrestrial TV, for free.
Okay,
we just have to have an antenna.
I think it doesn't just include BBC. I think you also get like Channel 5 and ITV and stuff like that. What does it say? Not solely for BBC services, license is required to receive ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, satellite, or cable. I think it's just all TV, basically, unless you have like specific pay TV, but I'm assuming that
terrestrial.
It's similar to how that's handled in Germany, where most TV is free or is covered by the broadcast licenses. So in Germany, you also have a broadcast license, which is technically not a tax, unlike the British one, which since 2006 is classified as a tax. But in Germany, basically everyone pays the broadcasting fee because you technically have to pay it as soon as you use any broadcasting service, whether it's TV, radio, internet, right? So basically everyone is just like paying it by default, and it's pretty difficult to actually prove that you don't have to pay it. So everyone pays it. But then you also get in Germany, you get like a shit ton of free TV, right? Like the two big networks have like, at this point, probably like 5 or 6 channels each. Plus there's like the two big public channels and like a bunch of regional ones as well. So you end up having easily like, I mean, with like smaller channels, everything, you easily have like over 50 channels just on German, like free TV. I mean, it's obviously not free because you technically have to pay a broadcasting license, but you're not paying that to the broadcaster, you're paying it to the government.
So do you think a large percentage of people actually are still watching the so-called free TV?
In Germany? Or definitely. Definitely, yeah. Wow. It's the main form of TV that people watch here, right? You don't, I mean, obviously now it's like switching over to where like sort of my generation, we'd be more likely to just watch Netflix or something, but but like I think that it's the predominant form of watching like actual TV, and I would assume that anyone above the age of 40 most certainly is probably still using that as their primary way of getting, audio-visual media.
I feel like even though it is absolutely free here, if you just plug in like that TV back there, if I plugged an antenna into it, I could get all the channels for free. I mean, like 10 channels or whatever it is. Nobody uses it. Even if they're going to watch local channels that are broadcasted through the air, it comes with their cable package.
Yeah.
Like your cable still picks up the free TV channels, and they just watch it through that. And I would say, I don't know, 5% of homes actually use the free TV through the airwaves. That's crazy.
But again, right, that's kind of the thing where, because the model is just different, right? We don't really have, like, the cable packages over here, right? So it's basically, like, all TV that, like, most people watch is just the free TV, and it's actually pretty decent. I mean, obviously, you still have, like, a third of the programming being commercials, but otherwise, like, the actual content is mostly pretty good, or you'll usually find something to watch, although it feels to me like it's gotten worse in the last couple of years, but also, I personally just don't watch that much TV anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. And I haven't paid for TV in a decade at least. Like, I just use internet. There's so many internet platforms that give you free channels. Like, I could turn on Pluto or Tubby, and there's 100 channels on those. Like, it's not like I'm going to run out of things to watch. I don't know why people still pay for it. Like, there's way too much free TV out there.
I mean, for me personally, I prefer, like, the on-demand streaming, right? So you don't have to, like, sit down at a specific time. Yeah. Then you watch TV for an hour to watch a 45-minute episode, right? It's like the whole thing. So that's sort of more the generational argument. But yeah, no, TV's also, I think there was an interesting graph that I've recently seen where like all of the major streaming services combined cost like, I think it was like $53 for all of the services and $58 for like a basic cable package or something. And so it's basically like, even if you have like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus, right? Like, and there was a couple others like HBO Max, and like it still is slightly cheaper than like buying a basic cable package. And so it's like at that point,
it is, yeah. I mean,
on a minor thing before I forget it, I have a graph here about the BBC the prices for the package. Oh, by the way, per household, not they're not per person. I forgot to say it earlier. But you can see in gray here's the line for the black and white cost. In orange is the line for the color cost, and in green is the average household cost. So you can really see how it like in the last like 20 years or so, it's been pretty much the average household cost is the color TV cost. But before then, you can see how the share of like color TV is like lower because the average price is lower. And before that, it's even under
wow.
the black and white line because is the radio only before that because back in the 1950s, not that many people had a TV.
Yeah, definitely. You guys, and they had a tax on radio also?
Yeah, I think it's included in the license.
Okay. In the broadcasting.
Yeah. Again, right, in Germany it's the same thing where you have like one license for like all radio and TV, and at least for like radio and satellite TV, it's not like they check it when you actually like try to connect to it because it's broadcast, right? You can just receive it. But at the same time, because the assumption is that everyone uses something that falls under that, it's just kind of paid by default. So it's basically a tax, although the German the German government was very specific in that it's not a tax for some reason. I don't know why they care so much about it, but like they were very insistent back when they rolled it out that like it's not a tax. It's like a broadcast fee or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah. But if everyone's paying it, it's basically a tax.
Yeah, exactly. I guess they could say, your license to drive is not a tax, but it kind of is because if you want to drive, you have to pay it. Still a tax.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not American, so we don't have the same rates of drivers, right? So if you have to actually like pay to maintain your driver's license, I think there might actually be people who would opt against it because, walkable cities.
So you guys don't have to pay for your license?
You have to
drive?
You have to pay to get a driver's license, but you don't have to pay to keep it.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow.
I mean, I think
we do.
I think you do have to pay a processing fee whenever it gets renewed, like every 10 years or so, but
yeah.
You don't have to pay like an ongoing fee for it now. No.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we don't either. It's just every time you renew it, you have to pay for the license all over again.
I think the driver's license renews every 10 years or something. Our IDs, I think, renew every 6 years, I want to say, but... Oh, yeah, we have separate ID and driver licenses. I think you know that, but it's one of those things that knowing that Americans just use driver's licenses as ID, I'm like, why don't we do that, right? Our driver's licenses have our names on them. I think they have date of birth, and they have a color have a color photograph. So it's like, what are you missing exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I guess the arguable advantage is that you have a backup, but it's not like I keep both of them in the same wallet. If I lost my wallet, I would have lost both anyway. So it's like, that doesn't help.
That's kind of weird. When a cop stops you while you're walking, you have to show him your ID. If he stops you while you're driving, you have to show your license.
I've never been stopped by a cop while walking.
Oh, God, no, really?
That's such an American thing.
Look, you get stopped by a cop for just walking by the cop here.
Nah, man.
Cops will stop you, like, especially if you're in a certain age range. If you're like 65, they're going to let you go by. If you're a group of kids, 3 or 4 20-year-old kids, the cop's going to walk up and be like, what are you doing? All right, let me see your license, or your ID. Yeah, they want to know what you're doing, where you're going, why you're doing it. And they're just looking for crime.
I mean, I guess that might maybe happen if they're specifically trying to look for someone, but I've never... I don't think I've ever heard of someone being just randomly stopped by a cop in Germany. Like, that just... No.
You guys don't get out for jaywalking or anything?
I mean, hey, listen, right? I feel like, first of all, Germans don't really jaywalk. Like, that's the first thing. And then, second of all, I'm not sure if there would be any actual consequences, like, if you... and also, there's just not that much police around, right? Like, we don't really have a lot of just police patrolling by a neighborhood or something. Like, that doesn't happen to the degree that happens in the States.
Our police forces are ridiculously large.
Yeah. That's a whole separate issue, though. Let's move on to our halftime show, which is Squirtle. I think we've played this before, right? You know how this works?
We've played Wordle, right? I don't know that we've played Squirtle, at least not with me.
Squirtle is like Wordle, but it's in a square. Okay?
Mhm.
So we actually have to basically solve 10 words. And honestly, this is one of those where it's probably easier to show you how it works than to try to explain it.
Okay.
Now, we have recently found out that statistically speaking, the best starting word is Earls. Or, I mean, I think there's other words that have the same letters, but Earls are the 5 most likely letters to show up in this grid. And so, if I hit enter, then you can see some of the hints pop up, right? So,
Yeah.
first up, we have the black hints. I've had them set to auto disappear, but the black hints, they say that there's no R in this entire grid. Right?
Okay.
The yellow hints tell you that those letters are somewhere in that row. So, the first row has an S, an A, and an E, but not in those spots, obviously.
Uh-huh.
The first column has an A, an L, and an S. That's why they're the red hints. So there's also little arrows in there if those show up with a bit rate. But and then the white or light gray hint, I'll call them a white hint. The white hint is saying this letter is somewhere in this grid, but neither in the row nor in the column. As a gesture, column and row in the opposite order. But so there's an L somewhere, but it's not in the first row, it's not in the fourth column.
Mm-hmm.
There is certainly one in the first column, so we know that already anyways, but...
Yeah.
And that's how that works.
Wow. This is a super complicated version of Wordle.
Yes, but it's actually surprisingly easy once you get used to it. We've never failed one.
Oh, really?
And also the other thing is, I mean, you get 8 guesses, and every time you guess a word correctly, you get an extra guess as well. So, effectively, because you get up to like 9 extra guesses, you have a lot of guesses. And it's sort of a mix between Wordle and Sudoku, is how you can think of it almost.
Ah, gotcha.
I mean, the Sudoku is a bit of a stretch, but you kind of feel when it falls into place.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a specific preference for what we want to use as a second word, or do we want to go with something statistically good again if I can remember what it was?
Yeah, I would say until we at least get one word right.
We're not going to just get one word right, but I'm going to go with tonic, which is the next 5 letters in terms of likelihood to be in this grid. And we got one letter there, that is the I. It's green, because it's correct. And then we also now know there are no T's in this entire thing, and we know there is an O and an I in the second column, an N in the third column, and an N in the third row as well. And there's a C somewhere, but it's not in the second or last row or in the second or last column. So that's actually interesting, right?
Wow.
Because there's a C in either one of these 4 spots. Oh, we can also enter letters as a guess, just if you want to keep those in mind. That comes in helpful later. But a C is in one of these 4 spots, or up there. Because of just how the hints intersect. It's a little bit tricky to get your mind around, but... so now... Oh, also, I guess I didn't explain that perfectly, but you are also always guessing one row/column at a time. So we're now guessing for your third row and column.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so we know that, for example, that both the row and the column have to contain an N.
Yeah. Is there another statistically likely word? All of these words are going to have to intersect, right?
Yes, exactly.
If it says tonic across, it has to be tonic down or whatever. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same word up and down, but if it says tonic down here, then obviously this word would also have to, like if this said tonic, right? Then obviously the first row would have to have a T in the middle, the second row would have to have an O in the middle, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And now I have to get rid of all the hints again, but
all right.
And so, for example, what we could say, right, there's a good shot that there's an N right there. Because there is, it has to be in both the row and the column, and that's where the 2 hints kind of intersect, right? So, it doesn't have to be there, but it obviously has a higher likelihood of being there. And then we could, for example, say, because the first row needs to have an S, an A, and an E, maybe one of those letters isn't here. Maybe not, but maybe it is. And for example, because the A's intersect over here, there's a good shot that they are there, so maybe this is an S. Right? Could be.
Yes.
I mean, also, the S also intersect here. It could be any of those three, really, or another letter, as long as we don't have much more information. And so...
what about Sunny?
Sunny? S-U-N-N-Y?
Yeah.
I'm personally not the biggest fan of trying the double N, but I see where you're coming from. I mean, obviously, it isn't useless because you can then know if there's only one N in there, it'll show with one arrow, and if there's two N's, it'll show with two arrows. If you try two N's.
Yeah.
But it would probably give us more information if we...
Wasting a block, yeah.
Effectively, yes. We're effectively kind of wasting...
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know. Do you have a suggestion for it?
I was trying to think if there's anything else that starts with sun, right? Because, as you said, right, like the S is a decent first guess, and then U, because obviously this cannot be an A or an O. I forget to mention that, right? Because it says there is an O in this column, but not in the row. That's what the writing means. So
that took out Sonic.
Yes, because this literally can't be an O, this can't be an I, and this can't be a C, so Sonic would be like a very bad guess.
Exactly.
But so if we assume that this is an S, which we don't really have a strong basis for, but if we assume that, then the next letter most likely is an E or a U, because it's most likely, and then obviously because in the second row, it's probably not going to go UI. So if we say this is a vowel, then it's most likely an E, actually.
Mm-hmm. Scenic, maybe? Well, no. It can't be the
can't
C.
Be an I or a C. It
can't be the I or the C. Yeah.
Also, isn't scenic spelled with an extra C?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Like scene?
Yeah, S-C-E-N-C, yeah.
I was going to say senile, but A, the I doesn't work, and B, it's too long. Because it's 6 letters.
Yeah.
The problem is, most of that I can come up with is like, I can do like 4-letter ones where like send, and then obviously you can go sends, but A can't be an S there, and B, we're back to testing the same letter twice, right? Which we said we didn't necessarily want to do.
Let's see, what would be a popular SCN 5-letter word? Senior? Let's see, does that... No, because there's an I right in the next column, right?
Well, first of all, there can't be
that's too
I
many,
here, and there's also too many letters.
Yeah. The senor, that's
also
Spanish.
too many.
I don't know if they use...
I mean, that's literally the same word, same letters as senior.
Yeah.
No, wait, it's not. It doesn't have an I, right? It's just
C-N-O.
No, it's just senor, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it works. It takes it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't correct, sadly. So this is not an E, and this is also not an N, which isn't. So orange means it's both in the row and the column, just not in that spot. We now know a lot of places that there aren't O's as well. Actually, before we get to the fourth column and row, it is interesting to note that the second column needs an O. But it can't go here because there's a white in there, and it can't go there. So that word actually has to either start or end with an O. The column.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I don't think there are that many words that end in an O. I mean, there certainly are some. I'm not going to pretend like there aren't.
Yeah.
And if it starts with an O, that would mean that we'd have 4 of the letters for the first row. With the S, E, A, and O, which actually would also be interesting because there's a lot of vowels in the word.
Odds. That's an O word. O-D-D-S, but then that's a double D, so we can't do that.
I mean, we don't need to guess it right now anyways, because the second column is going to take a bit until we get back to that anyways, but I was just saying that, like, as a general, like, sort of vaguely keeping in mind that, like, these two could be O's. Or one of those two rather has to be an O, so it is fairly likely to be up here, because I think it's more likely for it to start with an O than end. And then you'd have into this whole thing where the S has to go somewhere, and then, like, what happens, right? Is it E-O, A-O seems like a unlikely start, right? And so then maybe it's S-O, but then where do you put, right, the other letters?
So as far as the fourth column,
yes,
what letters do we know? We know the I, that's fixed in place.
Yes, it's worth noting that we obviously don't have to guess an I there, so if we want to, for example, test something that would work in the row, like an O, well, actually, the row can't have an O, forget that. But we could try a different letter in that position anyways, but we could also try to figure out what this word is. In which case... okay, I just realized something interesting. The first row needs to have an E. But this hint and that hint are telling us the E's can't be in either of those two spots, right? So one of these two has to be an E. So we could try something that starts with EI, if there is something there. Which seems fairly rare in English, as a matter of fact.
EI.
If we can't come up with anything, then we can be fairly certain it goes there. Which is also helpful. Are there EI words? Like, is that like a thing in English?
Because that's what I'm trying to think of. Anything that starts with EI.
Because I can't come up with anything. I think there's like a term in physics that's derived from German that starts with EI, but like actual, which I mean would technically be legal if it wasn't like way longer, and I can't come up with it exactly anyways, but. Because then...
Dude, I can't think of an EI word right offhand.
We have a good shot of it being right there. And I said there's a good shot of the O being there, which brings up the question... does the S go there? Or... there? I'm trying to think right now, because... Just out of curiosity, do you have anything that ends in O-A-S-E? Because that seems like a...
O-A?
It's not... it's by no means guaranteed, but I was thinking that sounds vaguely plausible.
O-A-S-E.
It could also start... It could also start with an S. Can you do like soap with an extra E at the end or something?
Soap. About that's it. Unless the S is at the end, but that would be a double S. Soaps, as in plural, but...
the S can't be at the end because there's already like a... We already tried that and it didn't work. So the S has to...
Right. Yeah, that was Earl's, yeah.
It has to either be in the first place, which makes sense because the first column needs an S anyways. So it actually does make a lot of sense if it looks like this. Which I can't guarantee that it looks like this, but if it does, then obviously we can figure out what this letter is, which would then help us with the column. Right? So sometimes you have to... That's why I said it's like Sudoku in a way, because sometimes you have to attack one line to figure out where something could be in another line. But so... I mean, so...
Why do I feel like S-O-A-D-E is a word? I don't think it is, though. No, it doesn't appear to be. It just brings up spades.
I was thinking technically soar would work, right? But we already have determined that there are no R's. So... Because I think soar would work with an E at the end, right? Like soaring up high.
S-O-A-R-E?
Yeah, Soare, yes.
Yeah, but there's
Oh,
no R.
yeah,
Right.
no R's, that's what I said, right? Otherwise it would have worked. The only other one I can think of is soak, but that also doesn't have an E normally, does it?
No, it's just SOAK.
So maybe that is wrong after all, but then, I mean, obviously, it seems kind of unlikely that it would be, like, right? Like,
AO.
AOs, AOds, AOPs, AODs, AOFs, AOGs.
Like, how exotic do they go with the words? Are they fairly common words?
They can be fairly exotic. I think there's a list of roughly 10,000 words that are legal overall as words that can go in. But I think there's only about 2,000 that they actually put in the answer grids. And as a matter of fact, we did some analysis, and some of those words can't actually appear because you can't get proper intersections. So at the end of the day, it's like I think like 1,500 words roughly that could actually be in there. But I intentionally did try to remember the list.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there is still the possibility that the O isn't in here at all, but I'm kind of low-key banking on it being there. Okay, we could, for the time being, just try to guess something that starts with an S, and see if we have an S here. Which doubles for also testing for an S there, so that's probably pretty useful. And then we don't even have to use the I, because obviously this one can't be an I, and we already know that the other one is an I, so it doesn't give us any new information. So we could try... Actually, this letter can't be A, O, E, or I. Which means it's either like a T or a C or U. Well, it can't be a C. But like it would have to either be a consonant cluster, like, I don't know, stall, right? Like, or would have to, if it's a vowel, it would have to be a U, which is also the only vowel that we haven't tried yet. And then obviously this one could be an N. It's at least one letter that's pointing there.
Wait, which one could be the N? The third column? S-U-N.
Like, I mean, obviously we have a very similar issue as we had before when we tried that over here, right?
Yeah.
It could also, obviously, I mean, it doesn't have to be an N, although this row does desperately need an N either there, or there, which is still 3 different possibilities. We could also, again, try something that starts with like ST or something, and then obviously wouldn't be an N next.
Dale. We've already...
It's not...
There's a L in that fourth column?
There's no L in that fourth column. This says there's no L in the fourth column. There has to be an L.
Okay, the white
somewhere.
means no. Okay.
Yes, white means not. Yellow means in the row, red means in the column, orange means in both, white means in neither, and black means nowhere at all.
Okay. I need a little color key out to the side. S-T-O-N-E. Is there...
Stang.
There's a white
sting.
O.
Well, sting doesn't work, but...
Sting? Yeah, S-T-I-N-G.
Stung! That's what I was trying to think of. What's the past participle of sting? Yeah, it's stung.
Yeah.
How about that? Is there any problem with that? Because we haven't tried G at all, so that should work. We haven't tried... Oh no, there's no T's at all. Oh, for fuck's sake, I forgot to look at that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There are no T's in the entire grid, I'm an idiot. So we are probably back to it being something like... I don't know. I was going to say sunder, but that's too long again.
Yeah. Some reason I feel like SUNDE is a word, but no, it just comes up sunder.
I mean, it doesn't have. I mean, it can't be a T. It can't be a C. It could be an H, I guess. It could be like shine. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it can't be an I, which is the other problem. It could be shun. Shuns? Oh, that's terrible. I don't like that. Also, it can't be an S. I was gonna because the problem is, right, if we go for the row, then it can't be an O. As a matter of fact, neither the row or the column can have an O, and the row also can't have an I. So we almost would have to go with like, I don't know, shank, right?
Yeah.
Want to go with shank?
Okay. Your guess is better than mine, so go
Whoa,
for it.
we got two
All
letters.
right, we got something.
And hey,
yeah.
We know there are no K's, which is not that useful knowledge, but we know there's an H in the second column.
Yeah.
And we know the S has to be in one of these two spots. I'm starting to use well, actually, it could be just as well be there, but it's one of those two. Also, there has to be an N in the second column. I'm thinking, the fourth column. Sorry, I'm thinking there.
Yeah.
Because we still also need one in that row.
Uh-huh.
The problem is now the S is truly 50-50 because we already tried the S in the column and we already found that. So, actually, wait. First column needs an S, an L, an A, and an E. Is it like lease? Wait, can start with an L. Cannot start with an L or with an E. It has a pretty good shot of starting with an A then. Oh, wait, it does not need an E. Sorry, I got that. That's the problem, right? Like, sometimes I get confused when I look at these for too long, and it's not productive when obviously you are also not very knowledgeable. Okay, so it does have to have. I mean, the A would have a good shot of going there, though. And then the L could go either there or there. So it could be like clasp or something.
L can't go on the bottom, though, right?
L can.
What word?
Oh, because just because words don't end in LS.
Yeah.
SL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. And it can't be in the first position because there's this white hint here. I was thinking making it this the most likely spot because the A, we need one for the row and one for the column, so it would be convenient here. And my mind immediately then, for some reason, actually we do still need a C. And I said it could be up there. It's one of the like 5 spots that it could go, one of which is already taken by now. So C actually does make a lot of sense. And so I was thinking clasp.
Yeah.
Which I actually don't feel that bad about because, again, right, the C needs to be either here or there. Well, there's an A, so it can't be there, or there. And we already say this is most likely an N, so C up there would make a lot of sense, especially because CN would be awkward. AC could work, but... Actually, INC, yeah, I mean, it could technically work, but I like the C up there, which, I mean, if it's CLAS, then it's probably clasp. Because it can't be an S, so it can't be class. And can't think of anything else that starts with CLAS.
Clasp.
In which case Oh no, shit. I just remembered something. That doesn't look very good, does it?
No, there's no CS word.
Well, yeah, you'd probably have to go to like Polish or Czech or something if you wanted something like that. Those languages are crazy. But that means that it can't be clasp. I mean, obviously, it could still have another S there. Well, that's not S. There it is. S.
Slash with an H.
Oh, I mean, we do know we have an H somewhere in the grid. I mean, we not there necessarily. No, I was just thinking. That looks good, right? Shape, shade. right?
Yeah.
Shame. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Doesn't really shake. This is we already said 4 different possibilities, so this is definitely.
I know.
I feel the problem is I oftentimes, when it seems so plausible, I oftentimes start feeling very confident about it, and then it turns out to be completely wrong, which is never fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think we can quite try to piece the entire grid together yet. Sometimes we like to do that when we get towards like the 4th or 5th column. Sometimes if you get a lot of good hints, you can try to figure out the entire grid by then. Which obviously, once you have one row figured out, you can then, you don't need as many letters in the others because you already have some. And I don't think we're quite there yet. Although, if I put the A there, that means there has to be an N there. Because that column still needs an N. I mean, it was either there at the beginning anyways.
Yeah. Allen would be Allen. It wouldn't be AN, right? Like also, the bolt, like the Allen screw.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think they have names, but then again, if you have an Allen wrench, then that could technically be Allen, maybe, but
let's see. How is the Allen wrench? Oh, it's EN, so that's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily expecting it anyways. I don't normally try to go for names. Symmeter. Oh yeah, we don't have a lot on that, but yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of things that could still be. Although, the double A's would be interesting for sure. I was gonna say it could be again, but that's the wrong way around. The I goes after the A.
Could there be an I in the first row instead of that A?
I mean, there could be, but we'd
like
still
shine or.
But we'd still have to have an A somewhere in the first row.
Okay.
I mean, the H isn't set in stone. It just needs to be somewhere in the column. It's just that because I knew I needed the A, and if this is slash, then it can't be in the first position, right? So this leaves either here. Actually, no. If the S is correct there, which admittedly is a guess, then the A has to be there because it can't be here because the column can't have an A. I guess it could be technically at the end, but then we'd have to find another spot for the E, which would have to be here then, and we have the EIN thing again. So I feel fairly confident in the A being there, but it's by no means guaranteed.
Yeah.
Shape, shake,
A, something, A.
I mean, admittedly, we don't have to necessarily figure that one out right now. We could just try to have a good guess for the last row or column, and then, as a matter of fact, we could try to see if my guess for like the H and the N that are like not that heavily substantiated are correct. For example, we could try something like handy. As a matter of fact, we could literally try handy if we wanted to.
Okay.
I mean, before this takes forever. No Y's, and whoops.
Yeah, that's true.
The keyboard has a slight error here because I think Sergey had discovered that he mixed something up with the layers, but we haven't actually fixed it yet. So the H and the N were correct, which is good.
Yes.
But we now know this word is not shade, so that's useful. Also, we do need a D somewhere, so I feel fairly good at putting it there. Because we need one in both the row and the column, and putting it there is stupid. HDN. So it's basically almost guaranteed to be there. Because the last row needs a D. I'm starting to think that there might be like E's there, because obviously if a word ends in D, most likely is ED. But do we want to try for the first row something? Like see if it's shape, shake, shame.
Okay. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So what do you feel?
How many guesses do we have left?
3, but every time we get one correct, we also get another extra guess. So this shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you want to word that starts with MIN, PIN, or what did I say? KIN.
KIN. Shake. Yeah.
You want shake? Okay, it's not shake.
Nope.
Actually, wait, did we know there were no K's before? That sounds familiar. That might have been a stupid guess.
Would it be DIN? Shade?
No, it cannot be because we have the yellow hint here.
Oh, we got the D.
That was a very recent development, but it would have to be a P or an M now. Now, it could be something like...
So, it's either shape or shame, then.
Yes, it's basically has to be one or the other.
MIN or...
I mean, I was gonna say, like, there's a lot of words like minute, minute, minus, right? But they're all too... Actually, minus works, technically, but... well, actually it doesn't because of the S, but... I mean, it would have been stupid anyways, right? But... And pin, I mean, obviously pin itself is already a word. Pines... No, it can't be an S.
Pines?
Pines. So it still can't be an S, though, because it says right here, no S in the column. Pinch. Oh, no H's.
CH, pinch? No.
No, I just said it, and this one says no H's.
Yeah, I see that now.
We could try to see... I mean, obviously, this is guaranteed to be slash, as a matter of fact, because it's the only place that the L can go.
Yeah.
We really don't have that much, huh? And because Okay, so we definitely would want to guess something that starts with an L, because that still solves the first column and still gives us a bonus guess, which at this point we kind of desperately need.
L blank blank I.
And no O's, no E's, and no A's. So it can only have I's and U's as far as vowels are concerned. I was gonna say lucid, but there can't be a C.
Yeah, because I was thinking lucky, but that's too many letters.
Also doesn't contain the I. It's lucky spelled with a Y.
Well, I was thinking IE. LUCKIE.
Well, you can have luckier and luckiest, but you can't have lucky with IE.
Yeah, there's too many anyway. Lip. No, I'm sure that would be with a Y.
What, lipid?
Yeah.
That could work.
Lipid, yeah.
Lipid as like a type of fat. Because we do need an I in this column.
Yeah.
And it helps us to know if there's a P somewhere, which could help us to know if their shape is correct. And this one needs a D, although it's guaranteed almost to be there. As a matter of fact, yeah. I don't hate lipid as a guess. It does mean we'd need something that starts with HI, but that's not that hard. I mean, hinge doesn't work, but I was gonna say hither. Like, there are definitely words that will work. Also, if we don't want to go with lipid, we could also go with limit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, actually, no T's. Sorry.
No?
I sometimes forget about the black hints, but no T's.
Yeah.
Yeah, lipid is the only thing I've got right offhand that works for sure.
Yeah. Oh.
What? I mean, we did get a bonus guess because the row, because the first column is correct. But livid? Is it livid?
Oh, it might be livid, yeah.
And then it's avian.
Yeah.
And then it's what would it be? Apine?
A-P-I-N?
I'm trying to think if oh no, it can't be an E. I was gonna say apine, which is probably not a word anyways, but I mean maybe the
Aping?
Maybe the N is wrong. Wait, no, the N is at this point actually guaranteed to be right because this row needs an N and it can't be in any of the other spots. The I is technically not guaranteed, but I wouldn't know what else it would be besides avian. If the V is correct. A ping.
Aping? I mean, that's like the past participle of ape.
Aping.
Aping.
Right, aping, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically a word.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the column could then be edged or something, so that would work. That technically works. Yeah. And then we have, let's see. Oh, do we have any positive hints? I still have to... Okay, this hip thing has to have an O, which obviously makes me think of hippo, which is double P-O, right?
Yeah.
Does it work? Like, do we... Then this one is... Honed?
Honed, yeah, that works.
Spade? Wait, no D's.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost thinking it has to be a G, right? Which I don't know what a spade would be or how you would spade or whatever. But this word almost has to be minge, right? I guess we can just, try it.
Yeah, it looks right to me.
Avian. Minge. It was not minge. Edged. And then we have hippo. Please. Okay. And we need one more letter. I mean, I said I didn't know what spade would mean, but like... Oh, for fuck's sake, it's space!
Oh.
As a matter of fact, we know that because we still need a C somewhere in the grid because it's a white hint, and we don't have one yet. It's space and mince.
Mince,
like,
yes.
As in mincing words, for example, right? You don't, or just mincing meat, I guess, would be the actual regular.
Yeah.
Non-idiomatic use. The words were shame, livid, aping, space, honed, / hippo, avian, mince, and edged. I mean, those were all gettable words in theory, but damn, we had our time with this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Give me some time to practice with this game because this is the first time I've ever seen it, and it's very complicated for the first time, but I could get better at this. I mean,
to be fair, this is the weekly version. It's also a daily version, which only has 6 words. So the daily Squirtle, that's just a screenshot mode. How do I get to the home page again? Do I just... Nope. Oh, new game probably. Yeah. And then if you go to the daily, it looks like this. So there's some holes in there.
Mm-hmm.
We're obviously not doing that right now because we already took forever with the weekly, but...
Yeah.
So that one only has 6 words that overlap.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, I mean, hey, we got it in the end. Which brings us to our second topic, which I definitely have prepared. And I'm not... Oh, fuck's sake. Sometimes that happens when I press a button that it pulls up a scene that is all black. Hey, we might have a problem here. Maybe I just got the URL wrong, but it seems that the thing I was going to do for the second topic doesn't actually exist anymore, which would be news to me. There it is. It's the first link. Yeah, no, Either.io is not working right now. So we're going to do the same thing that we did last time, which is, will you press the button?
Alright. Because I like this one.
I mean, I also like the Would You Rathers, but it's not working right now. Do I want to scroll up? Yeah, I'll scroll up once. You no longer require food or water to survive, but food and water turn to sand in your mouth and you no longer have taste buds.
I pushed a button.
Yeah, I would too.
Because, I mean, your survival is guaranteed, so.
And 44% would.
Wow, that's weird. I would have expected the inverse of that.
I mean, I can see how not being able to taste things is kind of bad, but at the same time,
it sucks.
Not needing to eat anymore is also very useful.
Yeah. What if there's a famine?
I mean, the other question then is, what does it mean you don't need it to survive, right? Like, does it guarantee that, like, do I gain weight, do I lose weight, right? Like, how's my weight regulated if I don't have any intake, right? I mean, there's...
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of practical questions, but, like... Jesus. You fall in love with the perfect person, but you fall out of love with the rest of your families. Families. Why is there a plural there?
Families. Maybe it's the perfect person's family also.
Oh shit.
It's just going to be you two alone and no families involved. I mean, I'm taking that one because I've never been a big family person in the first place.
I mean, I would say I probably... Oh, you know what? I won't. I have a very good reason for this.
Okay.
You fall in love with the perfect person.
Oh, it doesn't mean that they're actually going to love you back.
Yeah! I mean, the perfect person, like, would arguably be imperfect just by virtue of being in love with me, because how crazy do you have to be, right?
And in theory, everyone is already in love with the perfect person, whether that person knows it or not.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where, after careful reconsidering, it's like, no. I'm not going to fall in love with someone that I might not even have a chance with and, like, lose a bunch of stuff for that, right? Like, it's...
You just get a stalker charge.
Oh, God. You can jump twice as high and walk twice as fast without getting tired or hurt. But you will stub your toe once a week for the rest of your life.
I'll take it. That's not that bad.
Walking speed seems very useful. Jump height, honestly, doesn't seem that useful. I mean, I'm sure, like, I'm not gonna say it's never gonna come in handy, but, like, the walking speed seems very useful. I mean, I guess the question is, how badly do you stub your toe? Because, like, you can break your toe that way, but, like...
Oh, yeah.
You will be the most handsome / beautiful person on Earth, but you will never be smarter than the average third grader. It's time to start investing in the school system, huh?
Yeah.
I'm joking. I was just thinking about the fact that, obviously, the intelligence of the average third grader is not set in stone. I mean, I personally would not, but I don't know how you are thinking about that.
I'd say no.
I mean, would I press the button that does nothing except make me dumber? No, but seriously, like, I honestly care much more about my intellect than my appearance. And the average third grade is also that's rough, right? We're talking about, like, what, 9-year-olds? Like,
yeah.
if you told me, like, the average 8th grader or something, I'm like, probably still no, but, like, at least you can live your life that way if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Will you press the button? Infinite money, but every year a loved one dies.
Oh, man.
What happens if I run out of loved ones?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, then you're alone. But doesn't that already almost happen to everyone anyway? Like, everybody loses someone.
Yeah, but... I don't think there are enough people that have qualified as loved ones to even lose one a year, right? Like, that's just implausible.
If you only consider, like, the really immediate family around you, then yeah, that's pretty
I mean,
harsh.
love is a pretty strong word, but like even I just also don't have that many like tight social contacts, anyways. It's almost more about quality than quantity for me. So I will not. I mean, there's a moral question, right? You're basically killing people for money, which is already pretty dubious. But also, again, right? Like you would have to constantly replenish your circle of loved ones. And I'm not sure how well you're forming those new relationships if you know that there's a good chance they'll die within a year. So, it's kind of ruining your social life for money.
True. I'd say no.
Yeah. 82% of people said no. This one was a very...
Makes sense.
You become Pac-Man and can eat all you want, but there are ghosts chasing you and you must eat cherries to eat the ghosts.
That's not even...
I don't even want to become Pac-Man in the first place. What the fuck?
Exactly. Like, why? No.
What? 36% of people said yes. You get $1 million. No, sorry. You get $1 million, but lose your both legs.
This was been written by a Russian.
I thought they were having a stroke. I mean, okay, you get $1 million. Yeah, not having articles would be a very Russian thing, yeah. But I don't know if they would say you're both legs. That seems, I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
No, it'd be just you lose both legs. You get $1 million. No, I'm gonna keep my legs because $1 million doesn't go that far these days.
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep my legs for quite a while, and I don't know how long I can hold on to $1 million. Yeah, most people didn't. The one you love will become very bliss. What? What the fuck is with these, like, learn English people?
Very bliss. Yeah.
You die, but he or she won't love anyone. What? No, fuck off.
This is poor translation.
You can play any game in perfect virtual reality. You will experience every aspect as if it were real with no ill effects. But once you play any game, once you play any game this way, you can never play it again in any format. Huh.
Oh man, so it's a new game all the time?
Yeah, every time you play it, it has to be a different game, but it's like 100% immersion. Without any downsides.
Oh, I might take that. As long as I'm not stuck in the game at all times.
Yeah, no, I
like
mean...
if I can come out.
It's just as soon as you come out, you can never play it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it. Oh, what the hell.
I think I would too, because like the perfect immersion is just, I think, too much not to take. Slightly over half the people agree.
Makes sense.
You have the most powerful PC in the world, and it can evolve by itself. It must have Windows Millennium as OS. Okay.
How is it the most powerful?
Windows ME. Millennium Edition. Yeah, I forgot what ME stood for. I was like, which one is Millennium? But yeah, no.
So what, if you have the most powerful in the world, you're gonna run that old operating system?
It's like you can't even run most programs. So like, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. That's counterintuitive.
I mean, unless it doesn't have to be the sole operating system.
Maybe.
Like, if I can get a dual boot, then obviously, right? I'll have a Windows ME partition that doesn't cost me anything, except for like a little bit of hard drive space. Which, having the most powerful PC in the world, I probably have terabytes of that stuff, anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
I already have over a terabyte as is, right? So.
Yeah, I've got 4.
But
on a hard drive.
Yeah, I think between my 2 SSDs on my hard drive, I think I have around 2. But anyways, right? It's like, but it's like, okay, fair, but. I'm assuming you can then also only use the Millennium OS, and at that point, it's not really worth it anymore.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Let's do 2 more after this and then call it quits. The problem is it's always difficult to find a cutoff point with this because you click next question and it's like, oh, this is interesting. No more war, poverty, disease, or hunger. Technology reaches its apex. Mankind makes first contact and humanity spreads across the stars. But you die one day before it all happens. Okay, I see.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I guess I'm a sacrifice for humanity. I like to believe in reincarnation, so yes, I'll take it.
Well, I don't believe in reincarnation, and I can be a very selfish person. I mean, obviously, if this was a real question, right, it's kind of a very deep thing to decline at the same time. I don't get anything out of it, so I will not. I am just being honest, okay? Also, I feel like one thing two things about this that I have like some slight problems with. Mankind makes first contact. It's like, we don't even know that alien life exists. I mean, it's likely, but we don't know that. And technology reaches its apex, suggests that there's no way forward from there, which is like, it almost seems kind of boring, right? Okay, one more.
I mean, it would be. I mean, it'd be cool for the first couple of months.
Okay, this is slightly weirdly worded, but I think it's interesting. You become God, but you have to live the life of every human being who has ever existed. This is done in first person, but you can only spectate, not interact. So I guess you experience everyone's life.
Oh, you have to experience every single person. God, that's going to take eons. Do you experience them all simultaneously? How does that work? Because in that case,
I'm assuming
the
successively.
Entity that is theorized as God would already have experienced all that.
I mean, it's like, if you still experience it as a human, then obviously this is like terrible because there are plenty of bad lives and they're like very bad ones, right? Like there are also good ones, obviously, but
oh yeah.
Obviously, becoming God is very appealing, but the downside here is very extreme. Especially if we assume that it means successively and you have to experience that first, right, before becoming the God. It means you have to wait like thousands of years, suffer through people's lives without having any impact on them, waiting to become God, right?
That's going to be more than thousands of years.
That's obviously, right? Because like
billions of years.
I mean, just the people that are currently alive, there's about 8 billion of them, right? The average life expectancy is, 65 years?
Yeah. 75 probably, but yeah.
Yeah, might have been. I think worldwide it's probably more in that 60s category, maybe even lower because of like the high child mortality rates.
Yeah.
Which also would suck.
I'm thinking America. Yeah. America is probably closer to 80, but
I'm not sure about average, but I guess my take is I will not, even if the upside is very high.
Some people want that power, huh?
I mean, again, it depends on how you conceptualize the question, right? If you become omnipotent first, then you should be able to circumvent every rule that you've been exposed to before, right? Blah, blah, blah. There are ways to
just void the contract then.
Yeah, there are ways to conceptualize around that, but let me look up, let's see, life expectancy by country. That's gotta be a thing, right? Wikipedia don't disappoint me. List of countries by life expectancy, sure. The average life expectancy... right, I probably have to just look up United States. For fuck's sake, States. 77.2. What? That doesnn't seem right.
Sort of 80. That sounds about right.
Oh, wait, that's... Oh, no, sorry, that was in the wrong. table. They have two tables in here. And wait, the first one doesn't feature the United States? Am I stupid? What happened here? Because this one says
taking out tragic events, maybe.
Seattle World Fact Book says what is this one? Oh, okay. Says 78.38. Okay. Why does the main table? Is this not the main table? Am I just United Nations 2021 said the period life expectancy at birth. Okay, so if you're currently born, then your life expectancy in the United States is 77.2 years. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not for all currently alive Americans. That's for all that are now born, which means that they are expecting current life expectancies, meaning that obviously you might have had exposure to things that wouldn't happen anymore. So
yeah, like Teflon cookware.
Yeah, it seems that depending on the country, it varies somewhere between 84.5 to 53. Well, 53 to 84.5.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, all the bottom countries are in Africa. Chad, Nigeria, Central African Republic, Lesotho, South Sudan, Somalia, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Eswatini, Burkina Faso, Democratic Republic of Congo, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, Benin, Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Liberia, Togo, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Niger, Burundi, Angola, Zambia, Afghanistan. Does that count as Africa? Or does it count as Asia?
Afghanistan?
Yeah. That's like right on the edge of like Africa, Asia, Europe, sort of in that area.
Mm-hmm. Some people consider Egypt to be part of the Middle East, so I don't know. It's definitely within the outlined border of the continent of Africa.
Yeah, no, Afghanistan is definitely considered Asia, so that's the first non-African country on here, with 62.58.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you don't necessarily want to be the lowest. Highest is Japan. It's interesting because you have Japan, Italy, and then Singapore, South Korea, so that's less consistent, right? It's like you have European and Asian countries. Japan, Italy, Singapore, South Korea, Norway, Australia. That's neither of those. Switzerland, Iceland, Israel. So yeah. But this list, I think, didn't have the US or something. Like Oh yeah, the world average according to this one is 72.27. So it's. Anyways, that is not what we're talking about. We just completely got sidetracked. Oh, rather, I did. But before we get out of this, let's go to the last segment, which is the songs of the week. What is your song of the week?
Oh, what did I send over? I forgot what I sent you. Oh, you know what it was? It was Everlast doing Folsom Prison Blues.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic, right? Just done by a different artist.
Yeah,
I can't complain too much about
Everlast.
it. But the sound, like the which I don't know if it's supposed to sound like a horse or whatever, but like that sound in the background is very distracting to me. That like comes up every now and again. They're like like that, like very distracting. They're like the whistle or whatever it is.
It was a big thing because Everlast was part of House of Pain, and they were part of the early 90s hip-hop movement where that whistle in there was very prevalent across many mainstream hip-hop singles. And so it kind of would pop up again here and there throughout his career. They would go back to it. I mean, Cypress Hill had a song that was like that. So did ICP, a bunch of others that I could name out. But So this one, he started doing blues when he took a break and almost died actually at one point, and he came back to the music and started doing blues, and he'd play guitar or whatever. He would still do hip hop from time to time too, but he covered this one. And I guess so when they did this, I forgot his DJ's name, but they thought it would be a good idea to add the iconic whistle and hip hop beat that Everlast was known for over the top of the old classic Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash.
I can kind of see how this stylistically works. It has sort of almost more of a sort of country western kind of feel to it, but like when it comes like alongside this music, so I can see what like how this would fit, but it also still is very distracting for me as just a sound.
Yeah.
Again, right? It almost sounds like you're like hearing a horse in the background, which would again with like more of a country rap, it would really fit. But I don't know. It really takes me out of it. Anything else you want to say about this one?
No, that's it.
Well, in that case, my song of the week, also a bit of an oldie by this point, is "Jump" by Van Halen.
Go ahead and jump.
Yep, that's the one. I mean, I don't have much else to say about this one, right? It's I feel like
that was still David Lee Roth, right? That was before Sammy Hagar, right?
I have no idea. I can tell you exactly which year this came out, but I can't tell you who was on the band at the time.
What was it? 88?
1984. It was
84. Wow.
It was on the Van Halen album 1984. Which came out in 1984.
Well, so. There you go. So it had to be David Lee Roth.
It's literally 1984. As people say when they disagree with things.
Yeah, exactly. Jump. Vocals.
It's one of those situations where, like, someone asks me music questions, I don't know that much about music, so like I like certain music, but I just never looked that deeply into.
I mean, it should have given it away that it was 1984, but this was Van Halen's first number one hit in America, and their only number one hit with David Lee Roth as the lead singer. Wow, so I guess Panama never hit number one.
I mean, that doesn't really shock me. I mean, I think "Jump" is also just generally their most successful song.
Yeah. Or Hot for Teacher. Like, none of that hit number one, I guess. Crazy.
I guess that's the case.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, go and check out the Trash Talkers YouTube channel. If you type in Trash Talkers, it will come up first thing, or you can look right down in the description of this video. I'm sure it will be there if you want to come talk about some music.
Yeah, and with that being said, that brings this episode of the Trash Talk Podcast to a close. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If you want to talk to us, either leave a comment or join the Discord server. Link is in the description below. Smokey.
That's it.
That's it.